Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us right here on MX24 TV for yet another edition of Opposing Views. My name is Kwabena Kyenkyenhene Boateng. I'm your host for this very show. And we are always happy that you make time to join in such interesting conversations, because today is one of such conversations where everybody is pretty interested in finding out what the real issues are. Could it be the case that we perhaps misunderstand one another, for which reason it's seen as though some persons are not welcome in certain areas or society? Today we want to throw the spotlight on the issue of gays, lesbians and homosexuals in the country. It's been a pretty difficult period for them for several decades. This time around, there appears to be a strong push from a number of such advocates and indeed persons who are even neither gays or lesbians who live in the country and want to really live freely. It's come with a lot of opposition, particularly looking at the law and what it also says. But today we want to try and understand a few things and get a lot more perspectives from all the other persons who matter in such a conversation. So when we return from this break, I'll bring to you that all-important conversation which takes into account what you and I seem to think about gays in the country. Stay with us.
Unique, contemporary, engaging. Introducing the ultimate talk show that captures, scrutinizes, and stirs up conversations around relevant content across the globe. We talk to the movers and shakers in the tech, youth entrepreneurship, creative arts industry, and many more. Join me, Kwame A. Opoku, usher you to the realm beyond the headlines, new tech releases, trends, and clicks. It's going to be a fun ride on MS Conversations.
Many thanks for staying with us right here on MX24 TV. This show is streaming live on all our digital platforms, on Facebook and Twitter, and also on YouTube. The handle is at MX24GH, at MX24GH. Feel free to share your comments there, and today we'll do our very best to read all of those comments on this rather controversial issue in Ghana today. I want us to start on a particular note, and for those of you who have followed keenly this very issue, you would realize that successive governments have been relatively coy on the issue of homosexuality in Ghana as to whether or not the country is willing to even accept them and allow them to freely do whatever it is they want to do. Presidents have been very, again I say coy on the issue. But let me take you to one president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. A few years ago, in an interview on Al Jazeera, suggested that there appears to be a situation where, yes, there are some gays, but there isn't enough push, there isn't enough movement on their front. So it makes it difficult for even the state to come in and do a few things if that has to be done. If, again, that is the condition, if that has to be done. But that comment didn't go down well with a lot of people. But let me just take you back a bit and let's take you to that sound clip and listen to what exactly Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said when he was asked about the issue of gays, homosexuals and lesbians in the country and what it is that the state was doing to protect their rights, of course, as human beings. Take a listen.
You said a little earlier on about freedom of expression. So I want to ask you about what is happening in your country and homosexuality, for example, which I believe is illegal and it's punishable. I mean, why is homosexuality still illegal in your country?
These the social, cultural issues, if you like. I don't believe that in Ghana so far a sufficiently strong coalition has emerged, which is having that impact on public opinion that will say, change it. let's then have a new paradigm in Ghana.
Is that something you would get behind?
I think that it is something that is bound to happen. And when that happens...
What's going to provoke it? What's going to make it happen?
Oh, it's the activity, like elsewhere in the world. Like elsewhere in the world, the activities of individuals, of groups. I grew up in England. I went to school as a young boy in England, and I grew up at a time in England when homosexuality was banned there. It was illegal, and I lived a period when British politicians thought it was anathema even to think about changing the law, and then suddenly the activities of individuals, of groups, a certain awareness, a certain development grew and grew and grew stronger, and it forced a change in law. I believe that those are the same processes that will bring about changes in our situation. At the moment, I don't see that in Ghana there is that strong current of opinion that is saying this is something that we need to even deal with. It's not so far a matter which is on the agenda.
Okay, so that was the response of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, a few years ago in that interview on Al Jazeera television, suggesting that, well, he has not seen sufficient push from a number of advocates in that regard. Well, now there appears to be a lot of push, but that push is being met with a lot of resistance on the other side. Resistance in the sense that the person tasked or clothed with the powers, or at least the president's nominee for the person who will be in a position to protect the rights of such persons, Sarah Adwo Asafo, seems to have a certain view on this very issue and suggests that so far as the law is very clear on this thing, that it's illegal, she cannot in any way suggest that we should protect their rights in a lot of ways. In fact, she was asked a very controversial question. She answered it in a very diplomatic manner. Let's take a listen to her as well, and then we can delve into that conversation. But again, let's hold on again. I will bring you that very clip in a bit. So, let me introduce my guest for today's show. Alex Kofi Donkor is the Executive Director for the LGBT plus Rights Ghana. He's part of our panel today. Also, One Love the Kobolo. He's an advocate for LGBT plus rights also in Ghana. And then Edem Senanu is a Governing Council member for the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. Pretty shortly, we'll also be joined by the Most Reverend Philip Name. He's president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference. He will also be joining in our conversation today. Gentlemen, good afternoon, and many thanks for agreeing to join in this rather delicate conversation we seek to have today. Hope you're all well. Great.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right. Let me start with Alex Donkor. Alex, I think I should start by congratulating you for such a bold move to lead such a charge and to decide to open such an office in Ghana to begin with. But let me even then ask what the purpose for this opening was. I mean, why set up such an office to begin with?
Thank you very much for the question. And as LGBTQ persons in Ghana, there has been a lot of discrimination that has gone on over the years. And a lot of times, this discrimination and abuse and violence goes unattended to. Okay? When I say it goes unattended to, what I mean is that we do not receive justice for the abuses that some Ghanaians go through as a result of their known or perceived sexual orientation. Now, the abuses take so many forms, right? So we have ones that takes the form of family abuse or family discrimination. There are others that takes a form of public abuse or public discrimination. Okay? So I'm going to come down to specifics here. For instance, there was a time, somewhere 2019, where a colleague of mine picked a car from Circle going to Ofankor, and in between the journey, he changed his mind and said he was going to get down at mile 7. And before he could get there, he told the mate, I'm no more going to Ofankor, so I'm going to mile 7. So it means that the mile 7 overpass, this time around, the driver isn't going to pass the top, but then has to pass the down part to be able to get him down at mile 7. Just when he said that, there were other commuters who were in this public transport with him, who were like, oh no, driver, you should take the upper overpass. So this colleague was like, but I said I'm getting down at mile 7. So why would you tell the driver to take the upper overpass? Just when he could finish this statement, already there was blows and slap all over his face.
But sorry.
And their reasons for hitting him is because he was talking like somebody who is gay. Okay? These are the common experiences that people who are known or perceived to be LGBTQ persons go through on a daily basis.
Okay.
Now,
Alex, sorry, we'll come to it, but I just want to chip in here. The person sat in this car, was going, perhaps had conversations with people in the car. Why was he not beaten at the time? The example you give suggests as though the people took offense to whatever it is he may have said at the time. That, of course, maybe for, I don't know, maybe time constraints or whatever. Some people wanted to get to a certain destination at a rather fast time. So they felt that maybe if the driver used the overpass, it would have been shorter for them. For which reason, let's just go. And again, it's about the numbers. So a number of us want to use the overpass. That one person wants to use the underpass. I'm just struggling a bit to understand whether or not the real reason for which he was assaulted was because he spoke as gay, or perhaps because he may have infuriated them in some other way.
Yes. So, like you are mentioning, the mere fact that he said, "You don't know where I'm going," and that is why I'm telling the driver to take the down pass so that I can get down at mile 7. The mere fact that he said that alone gave them reason enough, and said because of the way he is talking, he is gay. And that alone led to him being beaten.
I see.
He went ahead to report the issue to the police. But even that, he couldn't receive justice for the abuse that was perpetrated to him in that public transport. So the point I'm making is that these are the common experiences that the community goes through on a daily basis. And the establishment of the space was because we want to find solutions to some of these abuses, some of these human rights struggles and challenges that the community goes through, both from the health sector. Some people are being pushed away from the health sector because they came there, and then from the way they are looking like, why are you dressed this way? How are you looking this way? And all of that. And for that matter, sometimes they are pushed away. So the space was created just so we can find solutions to some of these abuses, including finding resources to support individuals who are LGBTQ. Because the discrimination doesn't take place in just this place alone. In schools, in workplaces, in hospitals, like I mentioned, counseling facilities and all of that. These are the common experiences that other Ghanaians are going through. And so wouldn't it be okay for us to find solutions to some of these challenges that these Ghanaians are going through?
Interesting. Alex, thank you for that. And The reaction has been a rather interesting one, though, since this very thing was open, this very office was open. But at this point, let me also welcome one of our other guests who just joined in our conversation. Most Reverend Philip Name, President of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, has now joined us. Reverend, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us in the conversation. I'll be coming to you in a short while so that we can take your views also on the issue. So, let me come back to you, Kofi. Kofi, so if I understand correctly, you just wanted to create a safe space, more like a safe haven, where persons who felt that maybe they were being abused just because of their sexual orientation or their sexual preferences would find a place where they can come and seek some solace. Is that the case, if I understand correctly?
Yes.
Okay. How has the reaction been since this very center was open?
Well, I think the reaction is there for all of us to see, right? So there's been reaction from so many sources. And Reverend Father is here, and I'm actually glad that he's here because we equally got his message from his office, which we felt, for us, we felt like, oh, Father, for anything at all, we thought the church was compassionate and loving and show mercy and show an offering hand.
The church is compassionate.
Father, have you given this offering hands to us? Have you even listened to us? Have you even listened to the challenges we are going through? Okay. Have you even offered this open hands to us? You didn't come and listen to our struggles. No, that opportunity wasn't even given to us at all. But rather they came using words like we crusade against and we come against and we an abomination and all of that, feeding into the already negative rhetoric that has been put out there by everyday Ghanaians to continuously project hate and put the community in bad light.
Kofi, are you Christian?
No, I'm not a Christian.
Okay, so you're not a religious person?
No.
Okay. Are there members of your community or your group who are religious people?
So when it comes to sexual orientation, it is one that is not written.
No. I'm not. No, we haven't gone into the sexual orientation conversation. I just want to know. I'm
going to answer yes. So I'll just give you a simple answer. Yes, there are LGBT persons who identify as Christian.
Okay. So the reason for which you say that perhaps the Catholic Church has been unfair to you is because there are other persons like yourself. Of course, they are Christians and they identify as such, and they would have also hoped that perhaps the church would show a lot more compassion to them and all of those things, right?
And even if I wasn't a Christian, I knew that the church is supposed to show compassion irrespective.
That's fine.
Irrespective of whether you're a Christian or not.
Kofi, I'll be coming to you again. Let me hear from One Love the Kobolo. One Love, it's been a while. Good afternoon. But One Love, we know you have a number of children, and that only suggests you are heterosexual. Why then are you such a strong advocate for persons who are gays and lesbians and are in society? Why?
That's why I appreciate the word my brother Donko used, which was perceived. People with this oppression of the LGBTQI society or community, people who are also perceived to be gay will also be discriminated against. So my father, for example, has very effeminate characteristics. When my father talks, he does his hand like this. He's very eccentric and effeminate. Such a person who I don't think has had maybe same-sex relationship in his life, I don't think so, could also fall under this discrimination from the authorities and from society. And so we take away rights from a certain group of people, and we become a certain kind of evil. It becomes like a virus, and we just keep finding a next group of people to take rights away from. And so it won't stop at that. After we take away rights from the LGBT, we will find another group to take away rights from. So we have to be kind, we have to be compassionate, we have to be understanding, and most of all, empathetic. All these religions speak of an empathetic leader or God that they follow, and yet we know LGBT people are being oppressed, and we are not extending that same amount of empathy. And so to me now, the LGBT community in Ghana are the, metaphorically, if we want to represent in the Bible, to me, the LGBT community is Jesus of this time, because they are being put on the cross and nailed for just being who they are.
That's a rather bold equalization you make there. To equate.
I'm a bold person.
Indeed, I know that. So, for you, it's the case that if we are not careful in how we deal with this, today it's LGBTQI persons, the next time it could be some other groups of persons. So we are all better off coming together and dealing with the issue of protection of rights of one another now. Is that the case? Is that the understanding?
Yes, and if I could add to that now,
sure.
You want to move on to
sure. Go ahead, add on.
First of all, this thing about culture, about LGBT not being a culture, is completely false. If you do any small research in libraries, on the internet, you will find out that in West Africa at least, in the Nzima people, Akan people, men were marrying men, women were marrying women. The basis was not completely always sexual. It was in 1860 that the British, at the time being Christian or Catholic or whatever they were, brought their religious mixed with state rules to give us these laws. And if we go into these laws, in this criminal law 104 subsection 2, where it talks about unnatural sexual acts, this phrasing also covers heterosexual sex, which does not result in insemination or childbirth. So when a man puts his mouth on a woman's private part, or a woman puts her mouth on a private part of a man, or they do anal sex or any other sex which is deemed by those times and now our current law as a unnatural sexual act, they all fall under the same crime as the LGBT community. So this law also needs to be looked at, because if you are saying you are going to apply this law, many people are going to jail.
I'm having a Zoom
meeting. Let me then hear from Edem Senanu. Edem Senanu, you are with the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. I want to refer to the organization again. National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights. What's improper about persons who suggest that they identify as homosexuals? For which reason you are against their decision to belong to one another and to fight for rights they feel that as Ghanaians should not be taken away from them?
Thank you very much. I think there's an assumption that we exist and our name exists only because of this group, and I think that's a false assumption.
Okay.
We exist because we want to promote something, and if a particular group come under that umbrella or seem to be opposed to it, it has nothing to do with us having to attack them or being antagonistic towards them. It's just the name of our coalition. I also happen to chair the Advocacy for Christ Ghana, so we advocate on issues like this.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that this is a rights issue at all. I think we are confusing the respect of our laws, the respect for other people, the enforcement of laws with issues of rights. And fundamental rights are things that are straightforward. The right to life, the right to movement, the right to health. And so when my brother, and I like to call Alexa brother, this is the second time we've engaged, and hopefully today to be a calmer engagement. He talks about people going to hospital and not being given what is due them. That's a health right. He talks about people being on a trotro where they wanted to get down at one point, they end up being dropped at another point. And you yourself indicated your difficulty in appreciating the nuance of how did the gathering, those in the vehicle, associate this person with a particular, and therefore act in a particular way. That's just a right to free movement. And in all these cases, the law is clear. Article 12 says that our rights, fundamental rights, are guaranteed. I think that the risk comes when we begin to call every other thing a right. And if I'll take from the American jurisdiction, when the concept of human rights was stretched to start covering things like gun rights, we see the results of that. when a group of people say they have a right not to wear face masks, we see the results of that. I think that the LGBTQI community deserves respect, and we do respect them. We ought to make sure we have mechanisms to support them. There's no fight there at all. I don't see it as a rights issue, because I think that when we do that, we begin to expand the philosophy, and then very soon you may have every kind of thing from bedwetters to cocaine dealers saying that they have a right to do something. So fundamental rights, people don't fight over them because it is clear to all of humanity that these are fundamental. I think the challenge is where we start taking certain other issues that deal with people's peculiar feelings and needs. When we go down that road, we open a Pandora's box that will affect all of us. But I must also say that on behalf of the coalition, on behalf of Advocates for Christ Ghana, we owe a debt of appreciation to Mr. Alex Donko and his group for providing an opportunity to have a public policy discourse. I tell my students, we have a group, Young African Leaders, that I'm a resource person for. I tell them that public policy is not static, it is dynamic. So as times change, policy must change to embrace the changing times. I think this provides for all of us as Ghanaians and beyond an opportunity to look at our policy, to look at our laws, and to expand it to cater for all the things that we don't want to see. Good policy, good law emanates from the people. 88% of Ghanaians in 2015 indicated that a particular practice of men sleeping with men is a no. 87% in a recent report by SILA indicate that this is a no. The overwhelming majority of Ghanaians, from the historical, from the social, from the cultural, and mind you, we don't have a single word in any of our languages that describes the practice we are talking about. How come that is the situation?
Adam, again, if it's about that, the Constitution was done in 1992. Several years ago. Times have changed. And society needs to evolve, and society does evolve. So if times are changing, and perhaps in 1992 it wasn't such a big issue, perhaps because not many people were there, as the president suggested, maybe there wasn't such a strong enough force. And perhaps the exigencies of now suggest that we must necessarily put in place measures or perhaps revise the Constitution to cater for some of these things. What's wrong with that?
Well, but you're actually making my case. I'm actually going down that road.
Okay.
I'm saying that Alex has provided the opportunity for us to now strengthen our laws. Our current law, Section 104 of the Criminal Code, covers, I would say, clearly the issue of gayism, because if you take from the pure biology definition of natural versus unnatural, it is clear. Vagina is designed from the biology textbook to say it is elastic, it's able to accommodate any size of male organ. However, the anal sphincter is rigid and easily gets ruptured when something unnatural occurs. That one, we don't have a problem. It does not cover sufficiently the issue of lesbianism, transgenderism, etc. And I say, Alex has provided us a beautiful opportunity.
I see.
So I'm agreeing with you, Mr. Host, and I'm saying that take note of the fact that since 88%, 9 out of 10 Ghanaians say that it's a no. The ultimate result of what Alex has started is that our laws will be strengthened to make it clear that these are all the things we don't accept historically, socially, culturally, religiously, and in our law.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. I appreciate your description of the female anatomy and the like. We'll delve into that a bit later on, though. But Reverend is one of such persons who is a very strong proponent of the no thing Adam Senano suggested. Most Reverend Philip Name. Reverend, so...
yes, please.
I wanted to ask a certain question. Yeah. Let me hold on with that. But let me ask this. Our colleague on the other side suggested that what he knows about churches is that indeed you are the loving ones. You are the ones who always have an open arm to everyone, and you call on all to. In fact, the church is not for the saints; it's for the sinners, or those perceived to be sinners. Let me put it that way. So, why then were you so quick to come out to condemn people? Even though the same Bible suggests thou shalt not judge. What's happening?
Actually, I was going to react to that. Okay. But I think the previous speaker to me, I think is Adam.
Adam said,
has
yes.
already addressed some of, yes. He has addressed some of the things that I was going to say in the same direction. It is not true that, as I think it's Kofi was saying, that we did not listen sufficiently to them.
Okay.
We have done that, and we receive a lot of people with this orientation every day in our offices. And the statement that we have issued, one of the things is that people have not even read cautiously the statement that we have issued. Because if they read it, they will see that we are also insisting a lot that there should be no discrimination against the LGBTQ people simply because they are LGBTQI people. We say that there are fundamental human rights, which they have a right to also. The previous speaker before I came has mentioned some of these rights. Rights to housing, to movement, to association, and all that. We say that we have, from the compassionate point of view, to accord people with this tendency or leaning or orientation. We have to accord those rights to them, which belong to rights that every human person with dignity accorded. We are not because they are LGBTI. We say this is wrong. Or the right to movement, that they are refused coverage because somebody hints transport owners that these people are LGBTI. We say that is also not acceptable. We have insisted a lot, and sometimes we get opposition from our own Catholic members. Why we should ask them to respect the persons. Distinguish clearly between sins that people commit and the personal human dignity that the sinner has.
Reverend, I want to
throwing away.
Reverend, one second. I just want to clarify something here. So I still have a copy of your release here. Now, this is what it says. Under the Catholic Church's teaching on homosexuality, point 2 here says this. Now, the Church makes a distinction between the homosexual condition or tendency and individual homosexual actions. Now, for the Church, the latter is intrinsically disordered and is in no case to be approved of. Now, that is in specific reference to individual homosexual actions. So, you are not against the people. You are against what they do. That's the clarity you sought to give early on, right?
Yes. We are not against the homosexuals as human persons with the same dignity as those who are not homosexuals. And that is why we say that the dignity that is accorded every human person and the rights that are fundamental that every human person has should also be accorded them. But you have to respect what we call the divine intentionality in creating the human person in sexual differentiation. That is, he created Adam and Eve to complement one another. And therefore, if someone deviates from this law and thinks that he can relate with, if he's a man, with another man as God intends a man to relate with a woman, we say this is wrong, is unethical, it is sinful, and it is even against our cultural beliefs.
Reverend, do you have homosexuals in your church?
You say?
I'm asking if you have homosexuals in your church. Yes.
We have them. We
have them in your church.
And we counsel them. That is one of the things which has not come out very clearly in our statement, is that it is a sickness.
It is what? It's a sickness, you say?
Also, yeah, it is a sickness. To the relation of normal human and sexual.
Reverend, I'll let you hold briefly. Reverend, I'll let you hold briefly and get a reaction from Alex Donko. Alex, we are told you are sick. Reverend suggests that your actions suggest you may not be well up there. Is that the case? Are you really sick? Do you need treatment?
If that is your question to him, let me follow my argument to a point before he ends.
Okay, that's fine. Let's hear you then. Let's hear you then, sir.
I want to tell you that the coalition has set up a number of hospitals with experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, counseling people. And a number of those who came to us admitting that they are homosexuals have gone to these clinics, and after attending these clinics and the counseling for a number of times, have found themselves treated of that urge or that tendency. And some of them have even accepted to relate normally as other people have done.
Reverend, I have a difficulty with that, particularly since nobody suggests that heterosexuals are sick people. So if you're a man and you feel for a woman, does it in any way suggest you are not well? I don't think so. So if a lady feels or it's of the view that, well, she wants to be with another woman, how is that an act of sickness?
No, but you are not drawing the conclusion based on what I am saying. We have told, I'm just trying to explain to you that we have put up clinics, and those who were previously saying that this is how they are, it's a lifestyle, and have accepted.
So now they have come to the realization that
have again admitted that they don't have those tendencies anymore.
Okay,
and they have gone ahead to have relations with the opposite sex as with normal, say, like anybody else.
Interesting.
So based on this, it confirms what we are saying, that it is a sickness. Secondly, I think you are well read to know that in the 40s, the diagnostic manual of the US had characterized this tendency as a deviation. But in the course of time, because of the strong lobby of the homosexuals, they now see it as a way of life.
Okay.
So we have the evidence that people who have this strong tendency and have accepted to go to the clinics we have put this, after some time, do not accuse them anymore of that tendency.
Okay, Reverend, thank you.
This is why we can conclude
that it's an issue of sickness. Okay, thank you very much, Reverend. Yeah. Kofi, I'm coming back to you and I'm repeating that question. Are you sick?
Okay. So the answer is simply no.
Okay.
I am not sick.
Is it is it because you are in a statement of maybe you are in a situation of denial?
Perhaps I'm going to explain to you.
Okay, all right.
So I am not sick, and no LGBTQ person is sick. So I just want to put that to Father and let him know that that is not the case. Okay. Now, when you pick sexual orientation, all right? Sexual orientation is not something that one picks up. Sexual orientation comes as a result of the person growing up, having a feeling towards a particular sex is not something that is deemed as sickness. if that is the case, then we will say every human is sick. Because every human, you either identify as straight or bisexual or a homosexual. So that is my explanation to that.
So Kofi,
now,
but Kofi, you are gay.
So sorry. Can I finish it? Otherwise, it will just.
That's fine. Okay, you go ahead.
I really noted everything he said. So
okay, that's fine. So let's respond to them quickly because of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So he also mentioned the fact that the American and psychiatric put in their laws in the 40s that homosexuality is a sickness. I also want father to know that
he didn't say it was a sickness. He says it's a deviation from the norm. I think that was his exact.
No, that's what I'm explaining. That's what I'm explaining. So in 1987, this same American Psychiatric Association removed that deviation that he's talking about. Okay? And that was done as a result of research. Okay? So let's also remember that at a particular point in human life, science is limited. But as we move on, there is the increase of knowledge within science and a lot of research. We continue to research on so many areas. And that is how come we are able to debunk some of the inhumane acts that has existed for way too long. Okay? So in 1992, the World Health Organization also removed this same ideology from the World Health Organization's charter. Okay? So that is on record, and I want Reverend to know that. And so the idea that an LGBT person is sick is not true. It is false. Also, he mentioned that they have a system that have been put in place to heal someone who is LGBTQ. Now, that what he's mentioning is actually something we call a conversion therapy. Okay? And this conversion therapy has existed in some of these Western countries that he's referring to. Because at the time, like I said, because knowledge was limited, they thought it was something that they can heal the people. And so they went ahead and put a lot of people through this conversion therapy. And as a matter of fact, what happened is that it actually led to a lot of mental illness to individuals who went through this therapy system. And actually, some people went ahead to even commit suicide as a result of trying to change one's sexual orientation or gender identity. So if this thing that has been debunked in some of these Western countries, and they are actually removing these treatments from their laws and actually imposing laws on anybody who tried to coerce or put somebody into this or force somebody into this conversion therapy, arrested and prosecuted, it has been proven that it is not a treatment that should be meted out on any human being. Because what it does is that it actually violates the human being and puts the human being into a form of treatment that actually leads to a lot of mental illness for that individual. And so it will be unfortunate for father to suggest and propose and actually put some human beings into such treatment. If this is what is happening, then like we are saying, it is unfortunate. And we would rather plead with them to stop because it is not effective. It has been proven scientifically that it is not something that should be done to any human being.
I see. So technically, the church may actually even be pushing people to their own deaths through suicide and the like. Yes. Okay, that's fine. Kobolo, I want to hear your thoughts on this, though. And I want to put it in this context. The issue of society, the society we all live in and interact with one another, and how this particular society frowns on certain acts, like the acts of homosexuals. Again, you made reference to certain aspects of the Constitution. I have a copy of it here. Chapter 6 of the Sexual Offences Act here suggests a number of things. Now, rape, then there's about evidence of carnal knowledge, effect of void, or avoidable marriage with respect to consent, and then there's more on carnal knowledge, indecent assault, unnatural carnal knowledge, and the like. The argument you made earlier was that of unnatural carnal knowledge, and the point you pushed quite strongly was that if indeed we are to go by that and suggest that then the actions of homosexuals are wrong, for which reason we should curtail them, we might as well curtail the rights of several other people who go into bedrooms with their wives or girlfriends or concubines and do all other things other than penetration. Kobolo, the point is this. If you err in law, at least you have come out to suggest that you are gay, right? Hypothetically speaking, someone comes out to say, yes, I am so and so. And so it's like someone boldly suggesting I'm a thief. And I've robbed XYZ bank, I've done this to so and so, I've done XYZ to blah, blah, blah. That gives the authorities the right to, of course, first and foremost arrest you, investigate, and if proven to be true, then curtail those rights. And you cannot say that your rights have been curtailed in any way because you have erred on the side of law. And so how does your argument then fly that we are oppressing people and, curtailing their rights?
Yes, welcome back from 1940. First of all, I want you to clarify that you were speaking hypothetically. You weren't saying that I've come out.
No. It was a hypothetical.
Okay, I'm just checking. It's not a problem. I haven't done that, so don't take my privilege.
You have so many children already. We know your preference.
Okay, no, it's not about that. I mean, I could still be, and there's a lot of people in marriages pretending they are not gay, having children and being unhappily.
But are you bisexual? You haven't suggested anywhere you're bisexual. Are you bisexual?
Yeah, but I don't think it's of any issue here.
Okay, that's fine.
You were asking about these, that the authorities can further come into your bedroom. And especially, I mean, listening to Adam Senano, who sounds like King Herod or some kind of Terminator to LGBT. I believe that I don't think it's ever going to happen. You're not going to succeed in taking away LGBT rights because the world is moving forward. And so Ghana will soon move forward. 90% of us that he's talking about, Ghanaians, have been miseducated, and we are still in a colonial kind of trauma. We are still coming out of what the Europeans imposed on us, which they have realized was stupid. One such thing is homophobia. I grew up, remember, I used to hold hands with my friends and so on. And Americans came to tell us, hey, if you hold a man's hand, it's gay. It means you are gay. And this. So all this homophobia is not our culture. The way we are always saying, like people like Mr. Senanu saying that it's not our culture. It's actually homophobia, which is not our culture. We have always had lesbians, gays, bisexuals in our society in Africa for hundreds to thousands of years before the European came. And there's a lot of research to show that. And so, yes, this is the danger that people like Mr. Senano and his organization, especially with FOH Amwanen, who himself is from a marginalized society and should know better, will next come for heterosexual couples unless they agree that me having anal sex with a woman is fine. What's that called? Family oriented, whatever their organization is called. I'm sorry, I'm a bit flustered. But blowjob, anal sex, these things that are happening in a heterosexual setting will be the next thing that they are going to come for. And they're going to start asking for people to have cameras in their rooms for them to be watching. And actually, I think they will be benefiting from this pornography. Thank you.
Adam Senano, do you have a reaction to one of the Kobolo? And then I'll try and take some final words from the...
Thank you very much. And one love, you are not expressing your love to me today, I mean, very serious comments attacking me left and right.
Yes,
but it's all good. It's all good. Usually it is Alex who is complaining that we are not showing love. Today I have the opportunity to say I'm not experiencing love.
So Alice, Adam, now you know how Alex and Co have been feeling.
Oh, I don't think we had any difficulty with that. Let me make 2-3 points.
Okay.
One, at one point, Alex said, if what the coalition is doing, and we had spent a lot of time talking about conversion therapy, I like to pose to Alex that, look, why don't you come, we'll take you on a tour of our facilities, ask all your questions, it's what we call sexual therapy. There's nothing conversion therapy about it. And until you have the facts to go to town and describe it as compelling people and they are going to end up mad, when those who've gone through it, the numbers are increasing, I think it flies against the facts. So let's spend some time, do some research, come and cross-check. We are open to a visit. We'll gladly take you around and you can meet some of your own friends. It has nothing to do with conversion therapy and whatever results you've seen elsewhere. Again, you see, it is a fact that throughout the ages, you have some lesbians and gays in all societies. But the fact that you have some of them, and we are all admitting that that cannot be a situation where we don't understand that, yes, society would always have some of these, does not make it culture. So Professor Emeritus Mrs. Perby has stated categorically that nobody can describe this as part of our culture. That is a researcher par excellence known globally. So if people on the platform with me are going to be quoting and they are not experts in the area, I'll have a great difficulty. Fact is, that is not culture, as culture is known as a permanent way of doing life. The overwhelming weight of science, and I find that people like to quote some groups in the US. The US is not the world. There's a lot of research going on elsewhere. I have beside me one basic biology textbook right here. The pure biology through the centuries has not changed in spite of all our research. Life from the microscopic to the human being through animals has been found to be binary. And the very physique of the human being has been designed to confirm the fact that what is natural is male and female. When you go against that, the body begins to struggle. The data from the National HIV/AIDS Policy, September 2019, shows that for the period 2015 to 2019, whilst HIV prevalence in Ghana was going down, HIV prevalence amongst men sleeping with men went up significantly. In fact, the most high-risk group in Ghana today is MSN.
Senanu, just hold on for. Let's get a reaction from One Love in 30 seconds. He seems to have a response or an intervention on what it is you are speaking about now. One Love, 30 seconds, so you react.
I just want to inform the moderator that my time is up, and I'm sorry, I have to leave.
Okay, now. So then, Reverend, let me take your last words on this, though. Reverend, the issue is this, and I've read reports about even some Reverend fathers, persons in the Catholic Church, who are gay or who have done one thing or the other to suggest they are homosexuals. And the church has not crucified them as much as perhaps some other persons have been crucified. Won't you say that you are being a bit hypocritical in the way and manner in which you deal with some of these situations?
Well, the Catholic priests are human beings, and they are subjected to other things happening to human beings also within the church.
But it doesn't suggest that they are sick, though.
We try to, just as I wanted Alex Bianco to know that it is because of our acquaintance with the struggles they are going through that we make ourselves voices to let other people know that even if they don't approve certain actions of homosexuals, gay and lesbian, but they have also the fundamental human rights to be accorded them.
Priests who have identified to be gay, Reverend Father, sorry, priests who have identified to be gay, do they continue to moderate sessions at your various parishes?
Well, we remove them from. It's just like this child abuse. If somebody is abusing children, You don't give him an apostolate, a work area, where he's likely to interact with children 24 hours a day. We remove them.
But if it's not an issue of abuse, if it's just about an issue of they being genuinely attracted to a male partner and they're going ahead to do whatever it is they want to do with the person, why would you? It's not any form of abuse, is it? So why do you use that as a basis to remove them then?
I've not understood your question. Please come again.
I'm saying the example you give of abuse, it's quite different from the example we speak of now. So if it's abuse, we all know it's wrong. But if these are persons who identify as homosexuals or feel strongly that they are attracted to male partners, and for which reason go ahead to engage in acts with such male partners, why do you use that as basis to remove them from their calling, to put it bluntly?
You use that because the people, even if they admit they are gay, and you give them an area of work where they will be dealing with only boys if they are men, you expose these innocent young boys who never perhaps thought that gayism was even a reality to contemplate.
I see.
If you put a priest who is gay there, he's like to put this idea to the boys and in the end abuse them. And that is what we're saying. You limit the sphere of activity if you realize that a priest has this orientation or even this tendency. You limit them. And while we offer also opportunities for them to realize that in his creation of man and woman, God has an intention of how men should behave towards
that's fine. That's fine, Father. That is ideally captured in your release. I want an answer as to whether or not you feel that you are not being hypocritical. It's as though you are picking and choosing which people to condemn and which people not to condemn.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. You have to acquaint yourself with the pastoral practice of the Catholic Church before you can give
Please ask His Reverend Father what he thinks about the Pope and the Pope's stance on gays.
Well, in our statement, we have quoted the Pope's idea or what he thinks. And that is why we came about saying that you do not reject some people because of what they practice. And that is where we are pleading that homosexuals deserve also a kind of respect and be given the rights which are fundamental for all human beings.
I see.
This is what the Pope thinks, and this is what we
Does
believe.
the Pope think that
LGBT
need conversion therapy?
No, this conversion therapy, I've never even known about it. But we know that people can be treated from this
The same thing, it's just a different name.
Okay.
The orientation you speak of is the same as conversion therapy. You are just rebranding it.
No,
okay.
It's
Father, I think...
sorry, I have to leave.
That's fine, Father. We are really grateful you made time to join us anyway. Okay. One love. Let's hear your quick comments. You had an intervention, quick one, so that we can go back to Edem Senanu to wrap up his point, and then we can hear finally from Kofi Donko.
Yeah, Edem proudly, falsely claimed that culture is permanent, but there's no such thing. It's a blatant lie. Culture is dynamic.
No, he actually didn't say that. He actually didn't say that.
This is being recorded, so it will be rewinded and sent.
One love,
it was recorded. It was recorded. So when they rewind,
generate your own topic and then respond.
That's right. Senanu, hold on, Senanu. You let him make his point. Senanu, hold on. Let One Love finish, and then you can make your point. One Love, let's hear you, please.
He was also saying binary, homosexuality, all this, like they're supposed to just male and female. when you look in nature, there's so many examples of homosexuality, of asexuality, and other things. So when they talk about, like, everything they are using is from pseudoscience. They go to this one particular website. When you go to all the real major websites in the world, you find the accurate science and the up-to-dateness of these things. And you find out that human beings, despite what, especially because culture being dynamic, we have to be empathetic and accommodate everybody around us to be free. Because if we don't make, and also I don't like when they mention armed robbers and gays in the same thing, because being gay is not a crime. The only crime in the Constitution is the sexual act.
Yes, but that's where the equation comes in. That's where the equation comes in.
If I claim to be gay, you have no proof that I've had gay sex. I can say I'm gay and I'm a gay virgin. How can you arrest me for just saying I'm gay? There's no such thing in the Constitution that arrests people for claiming their sexuality.
I see.
The only place this criminal and this code apply to is if you are caught in a sexual act and they come and say this is unnatural, so we are arresting you. But standing there and saying you are gay does not give anybody a right to arrest you or to abuse you.
Okay.
And what we are fighting for is for that foolish law from 1860.
Okay.
No. From 1940.
One love, yes. You make your point, devoid of the insults. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Foolish law is a normal thing.
Senanu, let's hear you. Let's hear you, please.
Yeah. Okay. So you are Bernard, right? The host.
No, Kyenkyenhene.
Kyenkyenhene. Please, yes. I'll be grateful if you don't allow your panelists to.
You make your point. Make your point. Just make your point.
No. I think it is good if you stop your panelists from not insulting others.
The good thing, I'm okay. Over here, we create a platform where there's mutual respect for one another, and
yes,
I feel strongly
so
that everybody has. Sorry, I'm coming. I'm glad that everybody has made their points forcefully, though. But of course, it's not been disrespectful. It's not degenerated to a point where it's about fisticuffs here and there. That's fine. It's okay. You have a varied view. Let's hear that view, and then we can wrap up on the conversation.
Okay, so let me make a number of points.
Okay.
I didn't talk about culture being permanent. I don't know where One Love got that from. I quoted a professor of history and indicated that she has said that for someone to say that this is part of our culture, it means it has become a permanent way of life of the majority of people. That is how culture is defined. It's a permanent way of life of the people. And it's not because I have said so. That is the definition of culture. And I'm quoting a professor who knows what she's talking about. It's not because One Love thinks or doesn't think, and it's not about an argument. I also want to highlight the fact that there are medical and health risks. The reason why you find 9 out of 10 Ghanaians, and I'm quoting my own study that I was part of the lead team, Senanu Amozu and Associates 2015-2016 baseline human rights of Ghana, 88% of Ghanaians said this is a no. In a follow-up study, Masila 2017, again, they had 87%. I'm saying that recent studies show that the most high-risk category in the population is that of MSM, men sleeping with men. Let me quote the background, first line of the Ghana Men's Study 2, 2017. HIV impacts key populations such as men who have sex with men disproportionately. And in that study, they find that although nationally, you will find that prevalence of HIV is going down, has gone over a 5-year period. In this category of people, rather, it is going up. It moved from 17.5% to 18.1% by 2017. It is because of the health and medical risks, which are substantive, that people are saying, let's not begin to promote this. Now, beyond the health and medical issues, are the sociocultural beliefs. We believe that where this becomes predominant, the land is cursed. So what we may be doing is taking away the blessing of this country if we go down that road. Let me come to religion. I'll quote 2 verses because I know that Alex will come back and talk about love.
Yes, and we are wrapping up anyway.
Yes, of Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 6.
Love is a good thing.
It says that those whom the Lord loves, he disciplines. Those whom the Lord loves, he disciplines. The same thing is found in Proverbs 3, verse 12. And in both verses, it talks about discipline and corrects. As far as we are concerned, this is not a rights issue. Nobody mentioned armed robbery here, but it is certainly not a rights issue. It's about respect for one another. We can respect them. But if we begin to look at this as rights, then everybody will begin to talk about what they do as rights, and that will bring a very chaotic world.
Okay, all right. So I like how you wrapped up, because there's a message here on one of our dashboards which suggests for MX24G to host such a show, cries a win for this LGBTQI squad. They shouldn't be given the space to have forums at all. If this is accepted, it will open doors for silly things to happen, because in the end, it will be like my sister and I agree. Each one herself, and it's our right. So I think it just affirms whatever it is, Senator, you are saying. Let me wrap up with you, Alex Donko. Alex, you find yourself in a very unique. Oh, you want to respond first before my question? Okay, go ahead. Make your just bear in mind that we have.
Let me respond to a few of the things he has said.
That's fine.
Okay. So first of all, he was referring to the Ghana men study as being the having the HIV prevalence being high. Did you also go further to actually read also the prevalence level between heterosexuals and also lesbians? Because also in between heterosexuals and then lesbian sex, the HIV prevalence even among heterosexuals is higher than that of the lesbians. So the issue of comparison doesn't come in there. If it is about health, let's look at health holistically, and let's deal with health holistically. There is no sexual disease that is peculiar to just homosexuals. All sexual diseases are the same with either homosexual or a heterosexual. So if it's about our health system not being strong enough to accommodate all the health needs of the country, then let's look at it from that angle, and let's tackle it from that angle. But that should never be the basis to which you attack a person who identifies as LGBTQ. Okay, let me put that aside. He also mentioned of the fact that culture, he mentioned, how do you call it, a particular person, and said he made a comment about diversity or LGBT not being part of the culture. But in the same light too, he also agreed that there were also people who have lived who would be termed as LGBT persons in the past. So how then do you erase people that you agree that have existed, and then in the same light say that, oh, they don't exist anymore for some reasons? Now, the last thing I will also add to his response is that when it comes to religion and so many of the things that he has mentioned, he mentioned it from the part of religion. Now, in this country, religion is a private affair. It is one that is limited to an individual's belief. So it means that the things you believe, you cannot project it towards me, because I don't believe in the things you believe. What if my religion also tells me that somebody who opposes to human rights should also be
a criminal,
or condemned or criminalized? Thank you, Kubolo. How would that also feel? So with the issues of religion, it is private, and I want to admonish Senanu to remember that because it is private, he should always keep his religion private and limited to his belief and his home and the people that exist.
Kofi, let me ask you this question now. We have said a lot here, but I want to just find out, are you afraid for your life in any way? Because we have seen people killed in this country just because they have gone out there to suggest they are gays. I remember a very popular case, I think it was in Nima or so, a few years back. So I'm asking this question on that basis, that do you, at any point in time, fear for your life?
Yes, this is a question for all of us as Ghanaians, right? Why should it be the case that some Ghanaians should fear for their lives because of their known or perceived sexual orientation? And I think this is a very important question, and it's something that we should be asking ourselves as Ghanaians on a daily basis, especially considering the fact that we say that every Ghanaian is equal and believe in our constitution. But then for some reasons, some Ghanaians should fear for their lives. That is as a result of the rhetoric that has been spewed by people like Senanu and his group all the time, and projecting the community in bad light, and then crucifying us for no reason, and even if it's a reason at all, for their own parochial interest.
But
is what they
Alex, in all fairness, Senanu has not necessarily crucified. In fact, he has even suggested that whatever it is you have said, no, I'm coming. Whatever it is you have said, or your decision to set up such an office and open it up to everybody, has even given all of us a platform to have a conversation like this to begin with. And for me, that is.
Did you also listen to the part where he said, now we need to call for even stricter and stronger laws, or you didn't hear that part?
He hasn't said that on this platform.
He has.
He did not? He said.
Please play. We have to play this interview because
he did.
It is on this platform. I have listened. I am moderating the show and I've listened attentively, and I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard him say that.
I remember him saying it. I remember.
Okay. All right. That's okay. One love. But
play it back so that you can be sure as well.
That's okay. Kofi, again, one final one. We have I'd
like to just say something because I want Kofi to be the one to finish. But
yes,
I'd like
Kofi is finishing. Yes. Okay. Quick one though. We've run out of time.
You said something that wasn't too clear when you were speaking of pedophilia and LGBT. That's a common misconception that we Ghanaians have about LGBT. An LGBT person is not necessarily a pedophile. Majority of LGBT people are not pedophiles. If you are taking a statistics
that was the argument I was having with Reverend Father on it, to suggest that the equalization he was making was
very important because we Ghanaians, because of the schooling, boys system and girls system we went through, and the first time we actually saw male-to-male sexual interaction or forceful or rape was between somebody of authority and students. And so we think that LGBT is all about somebody coming to molest a child when they get the chance. Pedophiles are totally a separate, that is actually what we can see at this point in time, a sickness. But maybe in the future we'll be proven wrong.
Okay. So Alex, this is the question I was asking you, that whether we like it or not, we live in a society of laws. The current laws do not necessarily appear to smile so much on acts of homosexuality. The president has nominated someone to be in charge of gender, children, and social protection. Amongst her duties will be that she would have to ensure that everybody's rights are respected. At her vetting, though, when questions about protection of rights of homosexuals was asked, she seemed to parry it and then subsequently say something to suggest that, well, she's just sticking to what it is that the Constitution says. And so from where I sit, I may be wrong though, but from where I sit, it doesn't look like there's a lot going to change in the favor of homosexuals in the coming days, particularly if Sarah Joasafo does go through and becomes the Gender Social Protection Minister. Where does that leave you and people like you?
Okay. So let me say that the statement he made, I think that it's wrong, right? Because when it comes to the laws of Ghana, there is nowhere in our laws that criminalize LGBTQ. Okay? There is nowhere in our laws that criminalize a person who identifies as an LGBTQ. The truth is that the criminal code, which is a colonial law that was brought to us by the British, that we adopted in 1960, that criminal code is where we have unnatural carnal knowledge.
1860.
That unnatural carnal knowledge, it is not even our constitution, it is a criminal code that has the unnatural carnal knowledge. And then in these laws, scientifically, we've realized that it is not something that's helping anyone, if anything at all. It is giving the basis for some people like Senanu and his group the reason to actually
let's tone down the personalization.
Please,
now I'm saying.
No, No, but he's here. He's the one who is here.
I understand. I understand.
So
he's made a point. You seem to disagree with the point.
point.
That's fine. It's okay to disagree, but I think it's gotten overly personal.
Okay. So the point I'm making is that it is not about LGBTQ. So for her to have said that LGBTQ, our constitution is clear on LGBTQ, and that it is non-negotiable. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And
so the question,
I want to believe that she's coming from a place of ignorance, but then if she gets to engage a little bit further, she will change her position, because
but this is someone who will likely fight your cause or can't fight your cause for you, and you are calling her ignorant?
Well, no, but then it was not me who is calling her ignorant. The comment that she made, I'm not saying she's not, I'm saying the comment that was made was ignorant, okay? And it's not just her. Before we watch the vetting, there are some statements that were made from some people who were vetting that you will say this is actually coming from a place of ignorance. And so ignorance is not an excuse. It's actually a fact that some people made very ignorant comments. And I want to believe that it was an ignorant comment, and that hopefully as she goes on and learn more about the job, her position on it will change. Okay. Because to say that LGBTQ is non-negotiable and stuff, that is not true, because that is not what exists in our
again, the question I asked, which you haven't answered, is this: where does that leave you?
So like you said, human rights struggle isn't now. Human rights struggle has been.
That's fine.
We've been struggling all this while, and this is one of the things, and we definitely have to push.
So you are willing to continue to push,
build over the old cultures, over archaic beliefs and unfounded claims. Okay, all right, Kofi. Many thanks for being on the show today. Again, I would say thank you to Edem Senano and One Love the Kobolo. We are really grateful you made time to join us for today's edition of Opposing Views. Alex Kofi Donko is the Executive Director for the LGBTQ+ Rights Ghana. Also, One Love the Kobolo is an advocate for LGBT+ rights here in Ghana. Most Reverend Philip Name is president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference. He also joined in the conversation. And Edem Senano, a governing council member for the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values, also joined in the conversation. I'm really grateful that all our panel members had some very, very insightful things to say on today's show. The jury is out there. I've seen a number of messages, so many of them. I wish I could read them, but so many of them. In fact, to the extent that some are even suggesting I am biased towards one person or one group or the other. But it's all fair and square. It's fine. We are grateful to you also that you took time off to watch Opposing Views right here on MX24 TV. We are fun, fearless, and indeed we are factual. Many